Before Westfield was a contender, they were just trying to survive. In 2002, we went from 2A to 4A, and everything changed.
Westfield football moving to 4A, tougher competition, bigger players, faster players, stronger players.
By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, most of us were exhausted. We'd played pretty much the entire game.
You played pretty much every play on offense, every play on defense. I think some of our best players on our team, it was a rarity if they even stepped off the field during the game.
I'm not so sure that if you put Vince Lombardi in as the head coach, that it would have been any different. The gap in talent and size and speed was just too big.
A lot of times you were hoping, wishing, and wanting to win, right? You just put your trust in the best players in your team that they were going to get the job done. And if they did, then everybody leaves happy. You win the game, it's a happy bus ride home. But if they didn't, then it's a letdown. If you had a member of the team or a leader on the team that was mentally weak, we didn't have anything to combat that. It was really, you're at the mercy of, did they have a good game? Did they have a good day at school? Is there anything going on outside of that? And again, you're leaving that up to chance. You're leaving that up to things that are out of your control as a player.
Mental performance wasn't part of our vocabulary. You either had it and you were able to perform in high pressure situations, or you didn't and you were soft. In 2011, Jake Gilbert came in as a new head coach. And in the first meeting, he said, when we're competing for state championships, and I'll never forget, some people kind of looked around, and when we're competing for state championships, like, maybe we should try and win 5 games first. He did a survey of the entire team and all the coaches, and there was one singular player who thought that we could be 500 the next year. Everyone else's expectations were just expected another losing season. But some things started to change. We changed how we practiced, how we performed. We got bigger, faster, stronger. And before we knew it, in 2013, we had the most talented team in school history. And after an incredible regular season and a solid run through the playoffs, we found ourselves at Lucas Oil Stadium, not quite prepared for that state championship.
Really, up until that point, we had a great season. Before that, we were a perennial average team, maybe even a loser. And that was really the first year that we had a winning season. We had won the conference and heading into the state title game. I think a lot of guys were confident until you step off the bus, you get into Lucas Oil Stadium, your whole pre-game routine is different. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of adrenaline, and I think we had a lot of guys, and it was their first time handling a lot of that stuff. They didn't really know how to handle it, and it certainly showed in our play in that game, unfortunately.
We thought, man, if we could just get it going, and we could just never get it going. Like, man, we could get this thing turned, and it went south pretty quick.
Penalties end up getting it called back, 3 and out. And then a muffed punt, they get the ball, they score, and then a kickoff return, we catch the ball, go out of bounds.
There was a lot of resolve from the team to get to that point and win that many games and to kind of turn the tide of the whole thing, but I don't think anyone kind of knew what to do.
Our senior class was kind of the first ones through the castle, through the door, and the first one typically gets bloodied, and we definitely got bloodied.
We didn't talk a lot about the mental side back then. It felt like everything we had to get up to competence in that level, and we didn't really talk a whole lot about everything else.
That loss didn't just sting, it exposed a gap. Not in our performance or our technique, but in our mental preparation. As a coaching staff, we interviewed every single player at the end of the year and asked them, what do you think was going on? And almost all of them said some version of the same thing. Mentally, we weren't ready. Now that certainly showed up in different ways. For Some guys, it was shaky hands while trying to catch a kick. For others, it was almost just a feeling of shutting down. In that offseason, I was doing some work with the quarterbacks, and our head coach came in and said, we've got to do this mental toughness stuff with the entire team. I was in the middle of getting my master's at the time and really dove in head first to the world of self-assessment. How do we help these teenagers who half the time they don't even know how they're feeling somehow evaluate what's going on inside them and then be able to communicate that? And then once we evaluate them, what tools do we need to teach them? That's where the Prime 5 was born. We stopped guessing and we built a system. In a room full of 150 guys, how do we get everyone to have exactly what they need to control their mind and body in high pressure situations? And that is where the focus cycle came from. In 2016, we went back to the state championship, and this time we were prepared.
And being able to, whether it was instill different go-to phrases to our kids to work, just different actual techniques such as, simple things as breathing, some of the muscle relaxation.
We may not have been the most talented team on paper, but we certainly performed pretty close to our best the entire way through the playoffs. And I can honestly say there's no way we win that state championship without the intentional mental performance training that we did along the way.
I think we had a plan, just like you go in having a plan X and O and you know what you want to try to accomplish from a scheme standpoint. I think for the first time we really had a better plan, or at least tools for kids to go to, and coaches as well. I mean, I would say that I'm no different than the players. I've used a lot of the things that we're talking about.
First and goal from the 1 yard line. I mean, old Westfield, we crumble, we fold. But that team believed.
After my college experience and came back to kind of be a part of the program again, it was definitely, the mental side was way more prominent in what we were doing. And we were factoring it in to our whole off-season program, the verbiage of what we were saying to the kids on a day-to-day basis. It just became part of what we were doing, kind of the culture and everything. And that was just not obviously what it was 4 years prior when I was a player.
But to see the growth of the program over the years that I was away when I came back, in large part due to the mental training program, was really special.
This wasn't just a one-time fix. It became a part of who we were.
It's no longer just coach-led, it's become player-led. For an older player to explain to a younger player, hey, this is how I've used this confidence-building tool, or this is how I've used preparation to do this. And I think that the young players probably buy into the system earlier, which gives them more time to develop that skill. When we first started, it was, we were really close, but did you know how to win and could you get over the top? And there were certain plays that if something didn't go your way, it felt like it would become a spiral. I think now we've gotten to that point where we're able to use certain things to say, hey, we're always giving ourselves a chance here.
So I feel like in the big pressure situations, we're always ready.
So fourth quarter, when things are hard, you're running out of breath, you're tired, your body wants to give up, that's when it comes into play. In the middle of the game, yes, there are uses to it, but I really see it as an advantage, as that edge in the fourth quarter when people are really starting to die down, because then you have something that you can tap into with something deeper than just your talent. You also have the mental ability to push through, and people get tired and they're laying there, but you're telling yourself let's go, I got this. You're practicing those techniques, you're breathing, you're visualizing. But that's when I see it the most.
Mental performance training at Westfield, it's one of the most important things we do. We spend a lot of time on it because we know the mental side of your game, it has a lot of impact on how you can play.
Our players now, and seeing it from my side, on the coaching side, it's second nature, some of these responses, because we've kind of just trained it into them over the years, a lot of them since they were middle schoolers, travel football, 5th, 6th grade. This is kind of the verbiage we use, these are kind of the expectations, and obviously it's a little different for kid by kid and how each kid responds in those situations.
Every program has talent. Every program works in the weight room, watches film, practices hard. but how are you training the mind?
Yeah, I think if you don't have a current plan here for mental training, I think you certainly want to use that or you're going to be behind. I think just like we expect our players to be in the weight room and develop from a physical standpoint, I think the mental game is, maybe just as important, if not more.
This isn't just a story about winning. It's about transformation, about becoming the type of program that expects they have what it takes to be successful.
I think the MTP Academy is essential in what we do. It's a part of our culture, and it's not an extra thing. It's, hey, this is a competitive advantage for us.
Even in college, I thought, once I was done playing, I'd never have to deal with stressful situations. I never have to deal with, nerves or anything like that. One of my first professional meetings ever, I think I was just as nervous, if not more nervous than I was in any state championship game or national title game in college. The lessons that I learned in my playing career from the mental training side of things also applies today to my professional career. You're going to have challenges, adversity, obstacles, and this program gives you the tools and the resources to be better equipped and better prepared to deal with those.
That's the blueprint. That's what the MTP Academy delivers. The question isn't, does this work? The question is this going to work for your team? Is this repeatable? Good news is, the answer is absolutely. That's a topic for another video.